What makes a 23-year-old man embrace death with a smile, knowing the rope around his neck is the price of freedom? Why would someone give up comfort, youth, and even life? Not for fame, but for a nation still in chains? This is the story of Bhagat Singh, not just a revolutionary, but a symbol of fearless patriotism whose sacrifice still echoes through the soul of India, the spark of freedom. Bhagat Singh was born in 1907 in a small village called Banga, in what is now Pakistan. And even before he could read or write, revolution was already a part of his life. His father and uncle were deeply involved in the fight against British rule, and it was almost as if Bhagat Singh had revolution written into his blood. While other children played with toys, Bhagat played with ideas of freedom, justice, and rebellion. And by the time he was a teenager, he had read Karl Marx, Lenin, and Indian nationalist leaders like Lala Lajpat Rai. And he already knew that his life would not be ordinary. He was a boy who questioned everything. He didn't believe in waiting around for change, and instead, he believed in being the change, in lighting a fire so strong that even the British Empire would feel its heat. Turning point. Lala Lajpat Rai's death in 1928, something happened that changed Bhagat Singh forever. During a protest against the Simon Commission, which had come to India without a single Indian representative, the brave leader Lala Lajpat Rai was brutally charged by British police, and a few days later, he died from his injuries. Bhagat Singh, who had deep respect for Lala Lajpat Rai, was shattered. He wasn't just angry, he was determined, and he decided that this injustice could not go unanswered. He and his companions planned to take revenge, not out of hate, but to send a message that Indian blood would no longer be spilled without consequence. Their target was the British officer James A. Scott, responsible for the attack, but in a tragic mistake they ended up killing J.P. Saunders, a different officer. Still, for Bhagat Singh, the mission had begun, and he went underground to avoid capture. The bomb in the assembly. In 1929, Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwar Dutt walked into the Central Legislative Assembly in Delhi, not to harm anyone, but to be heard, to make the deaf hear, as they famously said. They threw two bombs, carefully designed to not kill, but to create noise, to create attention. And then they threw leaflets and shouted slogans like, "Inquilab Zindabad," "Long live the revolution." They did not run. They stood there, proud and fearless, waiting to be arrested, because for them, the fight was not just on the streets, it was in the hearts and minds of people, and they were willing to use their voices even inside jail cells to ignite that fire. Life in prison. Bhagat Singh's time in jail was not a time of silence. It was a time of resistance, where he protested against the unfair treatment of Indian prisoners, demanded better food, clothes, books, and equality, and went on hunger strikes that lasted over a month. His body grew weak, but his spirit became stronger. And people across the country started to see him not just as a freedom fighter, but as a symbol of what it means to love your country more than yourself. Even the British officials were shaken. They didn't just see a prisoner. They saw a young man who was not afraid to die, and whose voice was becoming louder even from behind bars. Trial and sentencing. Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, and Sukhdev were eventually tried for the killing of Saunders, and even though they knew the outcome, even though they knew death was near, they did not beg, they did not cry, and they did not show fear. Instead, they used the courtroom as their stage, a place to speak about injustice, about independence, about the dream of a free India, where every person could live with dignity, without chains. The sentence was death, and the date was set, March 23, 1931. But Bhagat Singh remained calm, even joyful, because he believed that dying for one's nation was the greatest honor. The final moments. On the night before his execution, Bhagat Singh was reading a book on revolution. Even then, he was thinking, learning, and dreaming. And when the guards came to take him, he smiled, sang songs of freedom, and walked to the gallows like a man going to victory, not death. As he kissed the rope, he shouted, "Inquilab Zindabad," one last time. And in that moment, Bhagat Singh didn't die. His body may have been lost, but his spirit became immortal. The legacy. Bhagat Singh was only 23 years old, but in that short life he gave India something powerful. Not just the idea of freedom, but the courage to fight for it, the passion to never give up, and the belief that even one voice, one life can shake an empire. Today, his statue stands tall, his name is taught in schools, and his face appears on posters. But more importantly, his message lives on in every young person who dreams of a better tomorrow and is willing to stand up for what's right. Bhagat Singh did not believe in violence for the sake of violence. He believed in justice, in fairness, and in waking a sleeping nation to rise and fight for its rights. So the next time you hear his name, don't just remember the martyr. Remember the man, the thinker, the dreamer, the rebel, and ask yourself, what are you willing to stand for? What are you willing to sacrifice, not for yourself, but for the millions around you who deserve better? Because Bhagat Singh didn't just die for India's freedom, he lived for it, fought for it, and proved that true patriotism is not about hatred, but about hope, not about war, but about courage. Inquilab Zindabad. May the revolution of truth, justice, and love for the motherland never fade.